Welcome to the Longmont Performing Arts Initiative's podcast series, Longmont Backstage. This is Jill Harrison. In this series of podcasts, we will be introducing you to the artistic directors of each of the founding member performing arts groups that make up the Longmont Performing Arts Initiative, or as we refer to ourselves, LAPI. For more information about LAPI, please go to our website, longmontperforms.org. There you will also find information and web links to each of our founding member performing arts groups. Today, our guest is Gary Lloyd, music director of the Longmont Concert Band. Gary, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Jill. It's a pleasure to be here and to visit with the Longmont community.
Excellent. Well, if you would, we're going to jump right in. If you would share a little bit about yourself and your background, that would be wonderful.
Well, I'm mostly raised in Oklahoma. My dad worked for Phillips Petroleum Company in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, and where I had most of my formal music instruction through the public schools there. And then I attended Tulsa University and received my Bachelor of Music Education at Tulsa University. And then I taught 3 years in a small town outside of Tulsa, Hominy, Oklahoma. And after those 3 years, I decided I needed to get a little bit more education, so I went up to Wichita State University and received my master's in music education there. And then I started a full teaching career of 32 years in public education, teaching music in the schools. And I retired in 2013 with the St. Vrain Valley School District after teaching in the St. Vrain Valley for 24 years. And then I started retirement and had this opportunity to start working with the Longmont Concert Band shortly a year after I had been retired. And this is my 6th season currently with the Longmont Concert Band, which I am enjoying very much.
Excellent. So what drew you to music, to the performing arts when you were a kid, it sounds like?
Yeah, I had, two primarily good experiences. My high school band was a very, very good, strong program, and so I was surrounded by some very talented players in high school. I also had a very good guitar teacher who was a jazz guitar player in the Navy band during World War II. Mm-hmm. And so he really taught me a lot of music theory, and so going into college, I felt I was really prepared well for what I might be facing in the music curriculum there, and then from that point, I just kept getting deeper in performance aspects and teaching and music pedagogy and primarily band and orchestra literature, and so from that point, my passion for music and teaching music was very strong, and it just sustained me through a full career of public education.
It's so much fun to hear that your roots go back to your experiences with teachers, with music when you were a child even, and how it shaped the rest of your into college and then beyond, and really was the basis for your career. It speaks a lot of the power of music, and if you have good people that will mentor you, what a difference it makes. Tell me about the Longmont Concert Band. Who are the performers? Where do they come from? Are they just from Longmont? Some details.
Well, it's a very diverse group. We have players that are just out of high school, maybe attending community college, or players that are just wrapping up graduate programs or into graduate programs. And then we have players of a whole variety of age ranges, careers. We have a lot of professional people, from every possible career you could think of. And we have, housewives and house husbands, and we have people, that are into their own private careers. But I would say our oldest player in the trumpet section is in his 80s and still going strong. And it's just a really fun group of people to work with because of that age diversity. And there's a lot of excitement within the group that's generated from all those different variety of backgrounds and experiences.
Mm-hmm. How long has the Longmont Concert Band been in existence?
I'm in its in its present capacity. There's always well, let me finish by saying 2005 I think is the nearest that I can figure is when it initially started as the St. Vrain Wind Ensemble. It was called. Mm-hmm. And in fact, when I did some research a couple years ago about this, it turns out that my son Garrett and I played in its first concert as the St. Vrain Wind Ensemble. I was teaching, and my son, I think, was an 8th or 9th grader in the school district, and we played. They needed some percussionists, so we filled in and played percussion in its first concert, which was, when I was doing the research and we were honoring the first conductor, Richard Cole, after his passing, and we were doing a little background research and information, and we discovered that through an old program. We had found an old program of that concert, and my son and I were listed in that program. I'd totally forgotten about it. never even realized that I was in the first concert. But since that time, it had become a nonprofit organization and got its 501c3 status, and then changed its name to the Longmont Concert Band.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. We all have those little tidbits in our background, and sometimes we rediscover them. That's cool. Well, obviously, the Longmont Concert Band is all about live performance. So what is it about live performance that you think sets it apart from, say, recorded performances or performances viewed through other media, videos, whatever? What's the difference to you?
Well, in a community band, people probably have a lot of different perceptions of what a community band is. Is it that type of group that shows up on a Friday night and plays in a gazebo a whole bunch of old marches, mm-hmm. or is it something that's more along the line of what you maybe experienced in your own high school, public school band program, when you were growing up. But this ensemble has become one that plays quality literature in what we would refer to as quality band literature in that genre of concert band or wind ensemble. Mm-hmm. Is another name that refers to wind bands. Mm-hmm. The history of wind band goes back a long ways to the late 1800s, early 1900s, when composers like Vaughan Williams and Percy Grainger were writing music for military bands. Yep. And that's basically where the history of concert band comes from, is from the military. So anytime we hear quality concert band played in our community, we might get an opportunity to hear one of the military bands come through. doing a holiday program, or the Navy band passing through on a tour, in our area, or the United States Air Force band, out of Colorado Springs, as I said, doing holiday programs. And that might be another, general perception of what the public has about concert band. We do a whole different variety of literature through a season. Everything from your standard marches to program music to pieces originally composed for the concert band ensemble, and even lighter arrangements that are pop or Broadway or jazz. I think what makes this ensemble unique is that we can do a lot of different styles and play a lot of different genres of music. And it's not just isolated, to your marches and things that you would hear on an evening concert out in the park.
More traditional, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel an electricity when you're performing in front of a live audience that is unlike anything else?
Oh yeah. Any types of live performance situation offers the opportunity for a lot of interaction, not just with the audience, but within the ensemble itself. And I find many times the things that I do in performance might be slightly different. Tempos might change. Expressions in different sections of the music might be slightly different than what we did in rehearsal. And it's more organic in that sense through a live performance. Yeah. And you're just not locked into things the way we've always done it in rehearsal. and I think the growth in this group and the quality of music that we're performing enables us to play more challenging music.
Oh yeah.
And so, for instance, a piece that we did on our last French program was Suite Francais by Darius Milhaud, a famous French composer, but he wrote this piece specifically for the concert band and specifically for young musicians in mind when he composed this piece, because he saw a need for quality music in the schools and for young musicians to play. Well, it's a difficult piece. I mean, it's a piece that college ensembles perform, and so there's a lot of that type of music, and the other thing about that piece is that we performed it with a smaller instrumentation, with what I would refer to as a wind ensemble, which is players playing one on a part, as opposed to doubling or tripling every part, throughout the band. And so that posed a extra challenge to the players of being more independent and more, it required them to be very prepared since they were the only one playing that part.
Yeah, sure.
And so I can see us doing more pieces like that. Pieces on a larger scale. Something I'd like to do sometime is Alfred Reed's La Fiesta Mexicana, which is a wonderful piece that he wrote to bring out the culture and the music of Mexico, and there's so many great works out there written specifically for concert band that the public never gets to hear, or they might hear some pieces or some watered down arrangements, maybe at a school program or something like that. But to hear these pieces as they were originally composed and intended for a concert band is rare in our community.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing some of this stuff. It sounds wonderful and diverse as well, which is, I think, fun for people, because you go to a concert and of course it's just such a pleasure to hear favorite pieces that have that you've enjoyed over the years, but to be introduced to some new things, it's wonderful to have that balance, I think. So very exciting.
Yeah, we did a concert last year that was extremely challenging because it was all contemporary music, and we called that program Music for the Modern Concert Band. And all of the pieces were composed in the 21st century. There was nothing beyond 2000 that we performed on that program. And I had reservations about doing such a program because there's a lot of contemporary sounds and new techniques and things that you do with the concert band. And there again, that's music that you probably wouldn't hear unless you were attending a performance of a wind ensemble at a college or a university program.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. What vision do you have for the Longmont Concert Band? And I know I gave you this question to think about, so I'm curious now to see what you've come up with.
Yeah, and that's a difficult question. But as an organization, our board of directors is committed to keeping our concerts free and accessible to all segments of our community.
Wonderful, yeah.
And through our outreach to the schools and spreading the word throughout the community, we want the Longmont area community to know that this is a band for all ages. And what I mean by that is that the music through our programming, through our performances, we feel like that this is a program that would appeal to all age groups. And so that's one of our goals. That variety is very important.
Yeah.
In what we present to the community. And but with this mission and with this vision that we have, keeping that in mind, that there are several challenges that are posed to those goals, and that, as you know, we've experienced a lot of growth in this organization. And as I've stated in some community LaPi meetings and different opportunities to speak to the public, we've probably seen about 20 new players in the last year.
Wow.
Come to this organization and either tried us out in some respect, and most of them have stuck with us. Some of them play seasonably. They can do one concert, but they can't do, the Christmas program, or they can't do the spring program or something like that. And so, but as we experience more growth like this, we have the challenge of how do we maintain the quality of this organization by being so inclusive, with our membership. And we turn very few people away. The only exceptions to that is if we have a section that's already at maximum size, for a particular instrument.
Sure.
And to accept any more instruments in that section, as an exception, to our inclusive growth, it would ruin the balance,
of course,
of the total ensemble.
Yeah.
And that poses musical challenges as you experience growth like that. You can't have a band of all flutes, or you can't have a band of a majority of saxophone players. It would no longer be a band ensemble.
No, you'd be very limited in the music you could play.
Yeah.
How can LaPi help in basically helping the Longmont Concert Band attain your vision? Is there anything we can do?
Well, as of course, groups like ours are at the mercy of finding rehearsal space wherever they can get rehearsal space, whether it's in the schools or in the churches. We're fortunate that we have a great partnership with Twin Peaks Charter Academy, and they let us come in and use their band rehearsal space. But getting back to the challenge of our growth and new membership, we're about to max out that space.
Really? And
so what we have to look at in the future is how can we still maintain our inclusive goals of being an organization that's open to new members and new players in the community, but at the same time not hurt ourselves, in terms of where we have to rehearse and what equipment that we have that is accessible to us, like percussion equipment.
Yeah.
We own very few of those instruments of our own, and have to rely on using the larger equipment that's available at schools and at our performance venues. If we perform at Silver Creek High School, we use that organization's high school percussion instruments in our performance. So what we need in the future, looking 5 years, 10 years down the line, is we need a space that can accommodate the growth of this ensemble. We need bigger rehearsal space. We would need rehearsal. We would need equipment storage and things like that to house a library. Our band library of music is growing. Yeah. And to keep those filing cabinets and things, and so that's why through the Longmont Performing Arts Initiative, that we're looking forward to seeing the project of a new performing arts center, and providing that rehearsal space that not only our organization would need, but also other performing arts organizations, not just LaPi members, but those visiting groups that would come and use such a space and perform there.
Makes sense to me. Is there a message that you'd like to share with your audience, with the people who are going to be listening to this podcast? Is there a final thought that you have?
Well, mostly I want the community to be aware that we have a really fine concert band in Longmont, and our players aren't just Longmont players. They come from all around the area, from the Boulder area, from Louisville. We have one player that drives all the way down from Bailey, Colorado,
wow.
and even Estes Park to come play with our band.
Oh my!
And even from the Fort Collins area, we are an organization that wants the Longmont community know that we're alive and well, and our concerts are extremely accessible. And if you haven't been to a concert of the Longmont Concert Band, you really should come check it out.
Yep.
And we really pride ourselves about doing programs that are fun, as well as being free to the public. Wonderful. And you really need to come hear this band, because it really is a terrific ensemble.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be part of this podcast, Gary. Let you say goodbye, and we're going to wrap it up.
I enjoyed it, Jill. Please join the Longmont Concert Band on February 23rd, 4 o'clock at the Silver Creek High School Auditorium as we perform a program of concert band classics with our student guest musicians from the St. Vrain Valley School District Honor Band. Also look us up on Facebook and our longmontconcertband.org website for future concerts in May and June. Our concerts are always free and open to the public.
Please watch for additional Longmont Backstage podcasts on our website, which is longmontperforms.org. And again, this is Jill Harrison. Thank you so much for listening, and there should be more podcasts coming up. May the performing arts bring you joy every day. Thanks.